Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Barrett channel. I'm here in Taiyuan, Gongyuan this morning on a beautiful January morning. It is absolutely lovely, and I think I'll take you on a walk around this park while I talk about the subject I want to talk about today, which is freedom of the Chinese people. But before we get into the video, just like to thank everybody for supporting our channel, either through Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. As requested by a number of our commenters on our videos, we've now set up a WeChat code which I'll put on the screen now as well. So thanks everybody for supporting us, it's very much appreciated. Freedoms of Chinese people. For reasons in the Western people seem to think that Chinese don't have any freedom. I see comments on other videos that we've made. Oh, Chinese live in a prison. They live in this 24/7 monitored, dystopian, oppressed society. They're not allowed to do things without being monitored all the time. They're not allowed to practice religion. They're not allowed to travel. You know, all these things are just absolutely not true. Let's take travel for example. More than tens of millions of Chinese people travel abroad every year, no problem. You're able to travel anywhere pretty much in China, no problem. And actually the freedom of travel here is much more than in a number of Western countries, and that's because it's very cheap to travel here. Chinese people are free to do pretty much whatever they want to. It's not like a lot of Westerners think, where there's this, everything is ruled with an iron fist and everybody's monitored 24/7. That is just not the case at all. They're Chinese people as well as foreign people here. Contrary to what some YouTubers say, is that China is a country for loser foreigners. Again, that is just not true. There are many successful foreigners here, acting as advisors to the government, teaching universities, studying here, running businesses here. So what some of these other YouTubers say is really just not true. A lot of this agenda in the West is created by not just the Western media, which are right at the moment very anti-Chinese, but also these sort of negative YouTubers. In fact, I don't really understand why, if they think it's so negative, they actually stay here. If it's so negative, well, why do they continue to stay here? Why don't they return to their own countries, or go to a different country? Anyway, back to freedoms. They have a main government here in Beijing, but really that government only sort of makes policy, very national policy, and it deals a lot with foreign policy. But a lot of the rules and the governing in individual areas is left to local governments. Yes, they of course they receive their guidelines from central government, but they're quite free to govern in the way they want. This business about that, you can't object to what the government do. I see examples numerous times of sort of protests and sort of outspokenness against local government if they try to do something that the people really don't want. And I think it's not like many Western people think, that the government rule the people with this iron fist. Many times that the local governments consult with local people on various issues, and things are done on a more of a consensus level. Of course, there will be people who disagree with some decisions government makes, but that's really no different to how things happen in the West. In England, you can be in a constituency that have always voted in one particular political way, and however much you disagree with that, you can't change it because the sort of majority of the people want to go that way. And really, democracy isn't always a democracy as such in those countries. Take for instance the recent assassination of the Iranian general. Well, most of the American people are against that, but the government still went ahead and did it. But freedoms in China, people are, of course, free to practice religion. In fact, I have a good Chinese friend, and she's a practicing Christian. She goes to church every week. Nobody bullies her or harasses her because of that. One of the things here that is different to the West, that you're not allowed to sort of spread false rumours and lies online. And personally, I think that's a good thing. And many of the Western watchers of this channel will talk about how they're anti-religion, blah blah blah, but they don't just lock up and suppress people because of their religion. That is simply not true. So another thing that we can talk about freedom is how safe you feel. Here I have no problem in walking out at past midnight from my house, go down, I'm free to go and buy food at a restaurant, I can walk around, I can go and sit in a 7-Eleven, chat with my friends. I have no worry that I'm going to be attacked or shot or my phone's going to be taken off me or anything like that. Now, really, I've spent time in 3 of the major Chinese cities, Shanghai, Guangzhou and Shenzhen, and in all of the cities I've been in, this is the case. I've never had to really be that concerned about my safety. So that's in stark contrast to other cities I've been in around the world. Even in my home country of the UK, there's many cities that I feel much more nervous in at night than I ever do in a city in China. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. That is freedom within itself. So it really does depend how you define freedom. Some people will define freedom as being able to speak out about the government and say what you want, but even then, do those Western countries really have free speech? There's a lot of things that can't be said in the UK now because there's certain things. We have a politician named Nigel Farage, and he's a guy who I like a lot. He speaks his mind, but many times when he says something, he's actually shot down in flames by the media because it doesn't go with the narrative of what the government of the day wants to portray, or it doesn't go along with the narrative what that media wants. So really, I think I would question whether we really do have freedom of speech in the UK. Chinese people have freedom to set up businesses, buy cars, buy houses, practice a religion. They are, and many people say, oh yeah, but they can't criticize the government. But I hear people criticize their government, criticize some of the things they do. But in general, I think the government listen to the people, and I think the government actually enact a lot of laws which are for the benefit of the people, which I actually think differs somewhat to Western democracies, where actually a lot of the politicians there, they enact laws to benefit themselves getting re-elected. and I think that sometimes isn't in the best interests of the people. So I think all in all, I really think that things are not at all how Westerners perceive them to be here in China. This perception of how things are in China is largely from Western media, because they're very, very negative on China, because I think they're scared of their economic and technical rise of power over the last 10 years. When China were not anywhere near as powerful as they are today, really Western media and Western governments didn't really seem to care that much about what happened in China. As far as I can see, people in China really do have a lot of freedoms. So that's sort of my conclusion. And as always, I'd like to hear your comments down below. I hope this can get a lot of discussion going. I'm sure there will be a lot of comments about this video that from Western people about all these negativeness about China. But it's always good to get some discussion going. Anyway, that wraps up this video. As always, take care.